There has been many videos about the supposed monsters inside the sewers of Los Santos. There's a myth that mentions a mysterious creature called the Ratman that often wanders these dark and gloomy tunnels, waiting for an unsuspecting victim to wander in. Obviously, all of these myths and videos are fake, as none of these monsters have ever been proven to exist. However, there is quite a weird audio clip in the game files called Sewergator, which can actually be heard at these particular locations in the tunnels. Have a listen for yourself. This sound indicates that there could be something hiding in these tunnels, whether that be alligators or something more sinister. That's up for you to decide. In GTA Online, there are 9 contact missions that were removed from the jobs menu back in 2014. However, it's still possible to play these missions. The only way that you can get them is to look for an old playlist that was made by another player back in 2014 that contains one of these rare jobs, which, as you can probably guess, is extremely uncommon. I've managed to find a couple of these playlists online, so if you're interested, I'll leave the links to them in the description below. I don't know about you, but playing these missions really brings me back to the simpler times of GTA. There's an unused Frogger livery in the game that has the word FIB written on either side of it. On the last generation versions of GTA 5, it was actually possible to completely destroy and stop the train in its tracks. All you had to do was put a couple of sticky bombs on the front of the train, and then detonate them. This glitch was unfortunately removed after the next generation versions of the game came out. Get your tinfoil hats on, because we're going to delve into one of the many conspiracies surrounding GTA 5. The conspiracy we're going to be focusing on today revolves around the mysterious ending of the Doomsday Heist. Just a little disclaimer, this part is going to have some pretty big spoilers. If you don't want the ending of the Doomsday Heist spoiled for you, skip ahead to this time in the video. In the finale of the Doomsday Heist, Clifford, the super smart AI, and Avon, the billionaire tech mogul, betray you, and they both try to destroy the world with a nuclear warhead. The protagonist, which is you, has to storm their missile base and take them both out before they can destroy the world. During the raid, you eradicate all files of Clifford, essentially killing him. The last and only trace of Clifford left is around Avon's neck in the form of a storage drive. This is proven by this voice line from Avon.
Well, you didn't kill all of them. I got the original code right here, and you're not getting it. Clifford will live again.
After a very intense airborne battle with jetpacks and attack helicopters, you eventually take out Avon and watch as he plummets into the water below. After this victory, you make your way to the observatory to claim your hard-earned reward. Upon arriving there, however, there's this very odd voice line from Lester.
There'll be a copy of Clifford somewhere, right? Or a beta, repackaged, stripped for assets. He'll come back. But we did good today.
I don't know about you, but I think he's definitely implying something here. This is reinforced by this other line of dialogue from him that plays after you complete the heist.
The agents went over the wreckage. Avon was incinerated. All that was left of him was his hair plugs. No trace of Clifford, though, so either you disintegrated him too, or he's out there somewhere, just waiting.
So there was no trace of Clifford on the corpse of Avon. This could mean that he either got completely destroyed in the wreckage, or the drive got launched somewhere during Avon's death. If that's the case, the drive could still be intact. And if that's the case, it's entirely possible that someone could find the drive. It's also possible that the previously said person could plug the drive into a computer, and thus revive Clifford. Who that someone could be, or what could happen from there, is really anyone's guess. Rockstar have also been dropping some pretty major hints and references to Clifford in other updates too, such as the very well hidden Arena War murals, which seem to match up perfectly to some of the murals found in Avon's missile silo. There's also a prep mission as part of the casino heist, which has you stealing drills from a small army of Avon clones, proving that some of Avon's clones are still in operation. And lastly, there's one more Easter egg that has recently been discovered as part of the Los Santos Tuners update. It can be found during the IAA contract. If you go up these stairs and look through this locked door, you can find a seemingly deceased Avon Juggernaut laying on this table. In conclusion, with all of these random hints and Easter eggs that Rockstar are giving to us, I think it could potentially be possible that we would see a Doomsday Part 2 at some point, as it really does seem like they're hinting towards it. I personally think it would be absolutely awesome if they did this. There are certain props in GTA that for whatever reason change some of their properties depending on how many players are near them. For example, if I drive into this green bus stop, you can see that the glass and benches break, but no matter how hard I try, the bus stop itself won't move. However, if I pick my friend up and try this again, you can see that the whole bus stop actually falls over, which quite clearly isn't supposed to happen. The same thing happens to these fruit stands that you can sometimes find out in the desert. With one person, it doesn't move, but with two people, it can move and glitch out quite a bit. This definitely has some pretty good glitch potential. Using mods, it's actually possible to reach the N icon on your minimap. To reach it, you'll need to face north and go 58,000 feet out to sea. Unfortunately, nothing interesting can be found here. Most of the green fences that surround most of the tennis courts in the game are able to be shot through. This could give you a very slight combat advantage whenever you're around one of these tennis courts. If you and another player are both CEOs, when you kill each other you'll get a scorecard that pops up which notifies you on the scores. On some very rare occasions, this scorecard will glitch out, and it will show this weird rainbow texture in the place of your opponent's head. When driving any car, if you hold the character selection button, pick either Franklin, Michael or Trevor, and then back out, your car will stop instantaneously no matter how fast you're going. I'm very sorry in advance for this one, but if you look at the GTA 5 map very closely, you should start to see that it looks a little bit sus. At exactly 9 PM, all of these lifeguard huts on the beach will close all of their shutters, all except for this one here. For some odd reason, the shutters on this hut disappear when it goes past 9 PM. This particular security booth at the airport is quite different from all the others. At a glance, it looks like this booth is completely inaccessible, as there is no doors to enter it. However, for some odd reason, there's an open window on the side of it that you can quite easily jump through. Most people probably won't notice the open window and will be quite confused on how you got in here. You can even survive a 5-star wanted level in here. GTA 5 is well known for being pretty rough around the edges, with its confusing roads, odd architecture and countless glitches. However, this building right here is probably the most messed up building I've ever seen. First of all, at night time, some parts of this building will have this very weird and out of place texture put on it, such as this orange one, this white one, and this black one. All of the ladders on this building are broken too. This ladder here just doesn't work at all. The ladder above it works, but it won't actually let you climb up. The ladder on the other side of the building will let you climb up, but it phases you through this sign. The sign which is magically floating in the air, as so are the lights that illuminate the sign. And to top it off, at the bottom of this building you can find some oversized mutant cockroaches. It's fair to say that this building was somewhat rushed during development. If you've used Director Mode before, you would know that you can play as pretty much any character or animal you want. But have you ever noticed that you can't play as any aquatic animals? You can play as them in Story Mode if you eat an underwater peyote, so why they're not included in Director Mode is beyond me. If we use mods to go to the casting trailer, we can see that on the right hand side there's what looks to be a massive aquarium. This was most likely going to be used for selecting which aquatic animal you wanted to play as, but evidently it got completely scrapped. At this location on the beach, you can find a rainbow umbrella that has some pretty strange physics. Hitting it with a car will cause the umbrella to float just above the ground. Once it's like this, it will be completely impossible to knock the umbrella over. Just outside of the casino, you can find this small sliver of grass that has no collision. Walking over it can sometimes cause your character to fall over in a pretty overdramatic way. However, if you drive a motorbike over this grass, for whatever reason, you will almost instantly die. There's a very weird glitch in the game that will cause some male cops to have the voice of a female.
Aren't you just a great example to us all?
I'm gonna smash into your stupid fucking face. I've got insane core strength, by the way.
As you probably know, GTA 5 is filled to the brim with Easter eggs. However, none of them are quite as complicated as the one I'm going to show you now. This is the Bigfoot vs Beast Easter egg. Before we even begin, you'll need to first gain 100% completion on GTA 5 and eat all 27 of the peyotes found around the map. Once you've done that, you'll need to eat 7 golden peyotes, which can be found at these locations. They will only spawn between the times of 5:30 and 8 AM, whilst it's foggy or snowy. Just as a little tip, I would recommend using cheats to change the weather. Each of the 7 peyotes will correspond to the 7 days of the week, which are all labelled now. You will first need to eat the Sunday peyote on a Sunday, the Monday peyote on a Monday, the Tuesday peyote on a Tuesday. I think you get it by now. This repeats all the way to Saturday. If you miss a day, then you will need to try again from Sunday. Every time you eat one of these peyotes, you will turn into Bigfoot. When this happens, you will need to look for something that was left behind by the beast. This will either be dead animals, dead people, or wrecked vehicles. You will need to find something like this before moving on to the next peyote. If you think doing all of that was laborious, just wait for this next part. As soon as you eat the Saturday peyote, you'll be thrusted into a very boring and slow game of cat and mouse. Whenever you make a groaning sound as Bigfoot, the beast will groan back. The noise will lead you to either a dead animal, a dead NPC, or a wrecked car. Once you see this, you'll hear a new noise which you will once again need to follow. This cycle can continue for a whole hour. You will find yourself constantly going back and forth around the desert, backtracking to places you've already been before. After aimlessly wandering around San Andreas for a while, you should eventually hear the beast's roar coming from the boneyard. This will be the final resting place for either you or the beast. All of this build-up, all of these boring and dull tasks has led up to this point right here. It's time for the most epic battle in GTA 5's history. Man, they really need to update the fistfights in this game. It's actually incredibly difficult to fistfight the beast one-on-one, especially as invincibility doesn't seem to work. So just stand somewhere high up, spawn in some weaponry and shoot him. Alternatively, you can spawn in a car and run him over until he dies. After you slay the beast, the hallucination will end and your torment will finally be over. So what's your reward for doing all of this? You will unlock the option to play as the beast in director mode. I guess it's pretty cool, but it's kind of underwhelming considering what we've just been through. Overall, it's a cool but very difficult Easter egg with a half decent reward at the end. I hope you know how to swim, because if you're ever caught out in the ocean, you can't rely on lifebuoys to save you, as they'll just sink right to the bottom. The lead graphic designer for GTA 5 used to have a lot of really interesting beta and behind the scenes images on his website, the most interesting of which are these old background images that were used for the pause menu. I think that this would have suited the game really well. It's a shame that it didn't get included in the final release. At this location at night time, you can find a weird golden tree that glows for no apparent reason. I had no clue that this was a thing before I read about it, but it's actually possible to see a solar eclipse. GTA 5 has a strangely complex lunar cycle. Because of this, there are multiple lunar events that can happen in different parts of the sky, which are all equally extremely rare to see. This is some very good attention to detail from Rockstar. Some of the soundtracks in the Doomsday Heist and the Cayo Perico Heist are remixes and have leitmotifs of the original heist songs. I'll be showing full songs will be in the description. There is a cut award from GTA Online that was hilariously only obtainable by killing a cheater. It's unknown what actions you'll need to do to be classified as a cheater, but nevertheless, the idea of loads of players all teaming up against cheaters to get this award is pretty funny to me. Within the files, the Oppressor Mark I is sometimes referred to as the Street Hawk. This is a reference to the 1985 show called Street Hawk. There's a motorbike in this show that looks almost identical to the Oppressor Mark I, which shows that Rockstar took some pretty heavy inspiration from this show. If you shoot any weapon while inside of a small closed-off interior, you should start to see some clouds of smoke forming around you. With the import-export update, there was a random UFO model that got added, but for whatever reason, this model went unused for 6 years. It has only recently had its first ever appearance as part of the UFO sightings in the Halloween events of 2021. There is a very rare and completely random glitch that can happen at any time whilst playing GTA Online. This glitch will, without warning, merge your online session into story mode. When this happens, you'll be in a weird state where you can't pull up your phone or interact with anything. The most you can do is pause and walk around. After a few minutes, the game will either crash or you'll get disconnected from the session. It's completely unknown what causes this bug to occur. At this location, you can sometimes find a spray can that, if shot, will spurt out different colours of spray paint. If you put a crew logo on a Oppressor Mark II and then kick it over, it will cause the logo to slightly move up and down. According to the GTA Myths wiki, some people think that this particular NPC in the casino is a reference to the well-known and famous rapper Kanye West. I can see where they're coming from, but I highly doubt that the resemblance was intentional in any way. In the story mission, Complications, Franklin has to climb on top of this van to gain access to Michael's house via an open window. Originally, Franklin was supposed to climb these vines up to the open window. This is proved by this cut climbing animation that Franklin would have used. Just like most other cut things in this game, it's unknown why this was removed. In some places of the map, it's possible to find a pool table and an air hockey table. It's likely that air hockey and pool were supposed to be minigames that you could play, as there is a model of a hockey puck, a hockey paddle, and a pool rack, as well as a few sound effects for both of these games. I would have loved to play pool against other players. It's such a shame that these games didn't get included. Back in 2008, there was a viral GTA 4 video called Scooter Brothers. Because of this video's popularity, Rockstar made a reference to it in GTA 5 using Trevor. I think it's pretty cool that Rockstar took the time to add this in.
We are Scooter Brothers! Scooter Brothers! We are brothers on scooters!
We are Scooter Brothers! Scooter Brother! Where are we going today, Scooter Brother?
During the lead up of GTA 5's release, Rockstar showed off a lot of screenshots to promote the game. Some of these images show beta and removed content, and some even have little mistakes in them, such as the XYZ axis being shown, and large portions of the map not being loaded in. It's possible to make your own makeshift airstrike with just a homing launcher and a flare gun. First of all, you'll need to go into first person and aim your homing launcher up in the air. You will now need to, very quickly, shoot. Select a throwable, and then select your flare gun and fire it. If done correctly, the homing launcher should follow the flare and destroy anything that's near it. This can be a little bit difficult to pull off at first, but once you get used to it, you can make some pretty insane plays with it. In the second setup of the prison contract, you have to infiltrate a movie set and steal a trailer. In this movie set, you can find this particular NPC, which has a striking resemblance to the Terminator. This NPC will shoot you with a sawed-off shotgun if provoked, and he has a stupid amount of health, making him very difficult to kill. One of the locations of this movie set can be found in the storm drain. This set will have a few trucks and motorbikes, which is also a reference to the famous Terminator 2 storm drain scene. If you purchase every available property in the game, you will have a maximum of 253 garage spots for your personal vehicles. At this location you can find a billboard that has the word temp written all over it. I'm assuming that temp is short for temporary, and Rockstar forgot to put a texture over it during development. It's possible to make your character run ever so slightly faster than they normally can. To do this, you will need to get yourself into a combat stance. This can be done by shooting a weapon or by having the police come after you. When you start running, you will need to continuously equip and unequip one of your pistols. Once again, it is very slight, but with a long enough distance it becomes very noticeable. At this location there is a big TV sign that can quite easily be jumped through. There is also a very similar sign to this near the airport that for whatever reason cannot be jumped through. Around 2016, there was some sort of design document that got leaked. This document contained a lot of really cool information about the scrapped story mode DLCs. All of this information comes from these legends on the GTA forums and on Twitter. Huge credit to them for finding all of this out. There was originally going to be 3 paid DLCs for story mode. The first DLC revolved around Trevor becoming an agent for the IAA. From what we know, this DLC was going to have 19 missions, one of which mentions a casino robbery, and another mentions a submarine raid. It's likely that these missions were scrapped and reworked into the online DLCs instead. The second DLC revolves around Franklin and alien invasions. Not too much is really known about this, but apparently in this DLC Mount Chiliad was going to break open, revealing thousands of aliens which would attack the entirety of Los Santos. Fragments of this DLC can be seen in GTA Online, like the alien survivals and this floor design image of aliens breaking out of some sort of hole. The third DLC revolves around Michael and the zombie apocalypse. The missions were most likely about finding other survivors and protecting Michael's family. Once again, some fragments of this DLC can be found in online, like the armoured Boxville, which looks like something straight out of a zombie movie, and these apocalyptic looking outfits. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed listening to those completely useless facts about GTA 5. If you know of any more useless facts, then please let us know in the comments. I'll make sure to pin the most useless one. Anyway, I think I've wasted enough of your time. I'll see you later. Hey, you guys seem to love useless information, so in this video I'm going to waste 15 minutes of your time to tell you some more useless information, which you'll most definitely forget about as soon as you click off this video. Ready? Let's go. All wheelie bins in GTA 5 have text written on them that says Rockstar North. There's quite an easy joke to be made here, but I'm not going to be the one to make it. In all metro stations, you can find this beta map of Los Santos. As you can see, there are many missing roads from this map, including the entirety of the airport. If you shoot a phone from a phone box, it makes a slight dinging sound. The Tesseract Supercar in GTA Online is immune to catch-up in races. If you don't know what catch-up is, it basically just slows down the person in first place, which can help other people catch up. For whatever reason, catch-up has little to no effect on the Tesseract. Around the holidays, you could find a Christmas tree in your apartment. If you take a closer look at these presents under the tree, you can see the Rockstar logo. Equipping scuba gear on a Kosatka will slightly change your face. There's a book in Franklin's house that's called Red Dead, that was written by Jay Marston. This is quite a clear Easter egg to the Red Dead Redemption games. The cool thing about this is that it could be canonical, as Chuck Marston, John Marston's son, is shown to love reading books. It's not too far of a stretch to assume that he would write his own book about his experiences with the Vanderling gang. The Perico pistol hasn't got any sway when you aim down the sights. This is a very slight oversight from Rockstar. F1 cars have so much downforce that you can quite easily drive upside down while in this tunnel. Kosatka translates into killer whale in English. There are 1038 Rockstar created jobs, and yes, I counted all of them. On this building, there's some stairs that lead to this weird looking room. The window in this room seems to be reflecting out of bounds, as seen by these weird textures. At this location, above these shops, you can find some stairs that lead into an unused shop interior. I have no idea why they put this place in the game. Pretty much all parachute pickups are glitched. They can be seen floating way too high or be in the ground. At this location, deep in the water, you can find a mysterious hatch that looks to be a reference to the TV show Lost. If you get close enough to this hatch, you can hear some Morse code. That translates into, "Hey, you never call, how do you fancy going bowling?" which is a reference to the annoying phone calls you'd get from Roman in GTA 4. How much can our GTA Online characters carry? If we add up the weight of all 7 assault rifles, 3 snipers, 9 shotguns, 7 heavy weapons, all throwables, 17 melee weapons, 15 pistols, 4 MGs and 6 SMGs, we get an estimate of 332.5 kilograms, or 733 pounds. Let's not forget the 95 snacks, 10 body armor, nano drone, parachute and phone that you can also carry, which are estimated to be 94 kilograms. This brings our total up to 426.5 kilograms, or 940 pounds. And of course, let's not forget the ammo for the weapons. You can carry 9,999 pistol ammo, assault rifle ammo, SMG ammo, shotgun ammo, sniper rifle ammo, minigun ammo, and MG ammo, plus 50 rockets and 20 grenades for the grenade launcher. This all equates to 7,460 kilograms, with a total weight of 7,886.5 kilograms, or 17,386.5 pounds. This equates to 7.8 tons that our character is casually just carrying around in their pockets. This is the equivalent of carrying an African bush elephant or a semi-truck on your back and being completely fine with it. It's fair to say that our characters are goddamn ripped out of their minds. The Perico pistol is the only weapon in the game that makes your controller vibrate while reloading. These keycard scanners in the casino can be broken if you run into it. This statue, called Yellow Dog with Cone, was turned into quite a big meme among the GTA community. It started with this teaser for the casino update, which shows 4 pieces of artwork, one of which was the Yellow Dog with Cone statue. When the update came out, for some reason this statue was nowhere to be found. People were understandably upset, as this magnificent piece of art was not available. The Yellow Dog eventually came out a little while after the casino update dropped, and players could finally have this glorious mutt in their apartments. When it came out, someone decided to make a subreddit, which focuses purely on worshipping the Yellow Dog. It even had its own Urban Dictionary page. Due to all this commotion, Rockstar brought out some limited edition Yellow Dog with Cone apparel. There are 5 different UFO models in the game. There's one that can be found underwater, one that can spawn above Mount Chiliad, one that can spawn above the Sippy camp, one that can spawn above Fort Sangudo, and one that spawns during the gun running resupply Easter egg. If you haven't got a house in GTA Online, and you set your spawn location to random, when you switch sessions, you can sometimes find your character standing outside of a hotel. It's likely that hotels were supposed to be part of the game from the start, as there's an interior in the game called MP Hotel, MP meaning multiplayer. This hotel interior has only been seen in a Jack Howitzer TV show, and more recently in a casino heist prep. In the mission, Breakdown Recovery, you have to drive a Wastelander with this destroyed Ruiner on the back. This ruined Ruiner model is just an edited version of a normal Ruiner, which means it has the same driving controls of the Ruiner. Because of this, modders can quite easily spawn this vehicle in, and drive it around to mess with people. If you shoot an RPG at the ground, and pause just at the same time, your character will be inside of the explosion. Moreover, if you go to the Rockstar editor, and then go in Director mode, it will show this unique error message. Director mode is not available whilst dead. After accepting this alert, you'll spawn outside of a hospital with this weird grainy wasted filter. In this very recognisable artwork for GTA 5, you can see that the background is completely wrong. First of all, the pier is way shorter than it actually is in-game. And second, the skyline of Los Santos is in the wrong place. If the camera is facing this direction in-game, it should only be able to see the skyline of the airport. It should be impossible to see any of these skyscrapers while the camera is facing this direction. In the Pacific Standard Bank, shooting these chandeliers with a minigun will cause them to uncontrollably swing. The best thing about this is that the chandeliers will never stop swinging, and other players can see it too. In GTA Online, there's a random glitch that distorts your phone's sound effects. Here's what it sounds like normally. And here's what it sounds like when distorted. I have no clue what triggers this glitch or why it happens. If you wear any one of these low beanies, your friends will for some reason see their character's face on your character. This will only work if both of you are in different sessions. Here's an example of what I mean. This is what my friend looks like when I'm in his session. And here's what he looks like after I leave his game and find a new session. As you can probably tell, his character now has all of my character's facial features. You could probably mess with your friends by doing this. At this location, you can sometimes find some unusually large cockroaches. These cockroaches will sometimes go off this ledge and fly over the water. I would definitely not like to be here in real life. When you get your clothes wet, it takes 1 minute and 10 seconds for them to fully dry. It doesn't matter if it's a sunny day or night, it still takes the same amount of time to dry. If you equip the double action revolver and then tap the weapon wheel button, which in my case is LB, you'll spin the revolver around. This cutscene from the MC Clubhouse darts game is glitched. Most of the time, you randomly select any player from your session and use their character model in the place of your one. Here's a few examples. The Vulcan was a cut aircraft in GTA 5 that got repurposed into the Hydra. It used the exact same model as the Hydra, the only difference being these letters on the back wing, which says V22 instead of the H27 we have from the Hydra today. In this second trailer for GTA 5, the Vulcan is shown to have been able to fire 2 missiles at once. There's also an unused description of this vehicle from the Warstock Cash and Carry website. Laser sights were most likely supposed to be part of the game, as there's some beta screenshots showing the police using lasers. There's also some mentions in the game files that shows laser sights potentially being an attachment for assault rifles and pistols. It's unknown why this was cut out of the game. In the Brady Games official guide for GTA 5, there's a section where it shows all of the different weapons and weapon upgrades you can get in the game. If we go to the RPG and look at its upgrades, it says that you can buy a grip that increases the stability and accuracy of the RPG. In the actual game, however, no such grip can be found. The fire extinguisher is a weapon that is commonly used by firefighters. It was originally supposed to be usable by the player, however, this was removed sometime during development. Fortunately, it's still possible to use this weapon if you give it to yourself with a trainer. It actually functions surprisingly well, apart from the fact it doesn't actually put out fires. Rockstar made an official Life Invader website that mimics the in-game version. If you sign in using your social club account, you can get some pretty cool perks by following/stalking these accounts. If you stalk Warstock Cash and Carry, you can get 10% off your next purchase. This is also the same for Legendary Motorsports and Elitist Travel. You can even get a free can of Sprunk. To be honest, this is probably the least useless thing in this video. There's a unique type of jerrycan in the game called a hazardous jerrycan. This jerrycan can only be seen and used during the first prep of the maintenance approach for the casino heist. There was a glitch that allowed anyone who played this mission to keep this jerrycan even after the mission was over. However, this has now been patched, which now makes it an extremely rare item to have. The golf club melee weapon can't be purchased. The only way you can get one is by either killing a golfer and taking theirs, or by picking one up in a player-made job. The rubber gun is a weapon that was cut from GTA 5, presumably very early on in development. From this image in the game files, it appears to have been a blue-tinted Uzi. It's the same as the gold SMG model from the Ballad of Gay Tony. There's also a rubber shooting sound effect in the game, which could have been a sound effect that the gun used. If I would have to guess, I would say that this weapon was going to be a non-lethal joke weapon. Here's a little concept of what the gun could have looked and sounded like if put into the game. There are 12 unique NPCs in the casino that have their own individual names and personalities. We have Dean and Carol, a married couple that often bicker. Carol seems to be the instigator of most of their quarrels, and Dean seems to always try to defuse the situation and appease his wife. There's Vince, a depressed and drunk man who is recently divorced with his wife. Because of this, he is drowning his sorrows and gambling his last few dollars that he has. Because of being divorced, he's homeless and presumably hasn't got anywhere else to go. He often complains out loud about the terrible situation that he's in. And now we have Taylor and Lauren. They're at the casino having a hen party to celebrate Lauren getting married. Taylor seems to be the loudest and more extroverted one out of these two. She's often being loud and is the only one that tries to instigate social games such as Truth or Dare or Dare cards. She also has this shirt that says here for the fling, which probably means that she's looking to get laid. Lauren on the other hand is a bit more introverted, probably because she's nervous about her big wedding day. Next up is Beth, who looks and sounds like she's completely stoned. This is proved by her saying that she mixed up her CMD and THC. There's not much more to really say about her, other than she always seems really transfixed on Lucky Will for some reason. There's Gabriel, a rich Italian man that often gloats about his wealth. He also likes to insult the player's fashion sense whenever you get too close, and he frequently insults America and Americans. Overall, he's quite a snobby guy. Now we have Eileen, a rather foul-mouthed and elderly woman that insults the slot machines when she loses. She doesn't talk about anything else really, so not too much is known about her. Ushi is a very rich Chinese man who is in a real estate business with his father. He mentions that his father is good friends with the Cheng family, who are billionaires, so it's no wonder why Ushi is so rich. He often mentions his love for America. He loves the movies, the shows, and the casinos. Now we have Curtis. I'm not the best with American accents, but I would assume that he's from Texas. He seems to be a very confident and well-established poker player, often giving some questionable advice to other players on the table. And of course, let's not forget his best quality, his awesome hat. Next up is Blaine. He looks and sounds to be somewhere in his 30s. I would assume that he's going through some sort of midlife crisis, as he's trying way too hard to tell jokes and use lingo that he doesn't seem to fully understand. Apart from that, it sounds like he loves to party and drink. Last but not least, we have Caleb. He's an overly anxious and delirious man, who seems very paranoid about the casino always listening and watching him. After listening to some of his voice lines, it's pretty clear that he either suffers from a mental illness or he's high on drugs. You can email other players in-game through the internet on your phone. Not many people actually know about this, mainly because it's almost completely useless and not practical to use at all. At full health, chain smoking 10 cigarettes in a row will kill your character in a rather slow and horrible way. Also, my character started leaving behind trails of blood behind him while I was smoking. Don't smoke, kids, it's not worth it. There's a portable toilet in the docks that, if knocked over, reveals a poorly rendered portable toilet inside of it. I've no idea why this is here. If you take too many pictures while in the casino, you'll get thrown out by security. There's an unused garage interior that came out with the High Life update back in 2014. This place is huge. You would have probably been able to store around 30 or 40 cars here. In the game files, there are some unused weapon textures of a fire axe, lasso, shovel, and a megaphone. Hopefully, some of these will make a return in a future update. In the game files, there are some early concepts of a GTA 5 logo. I've got to say, GTA 5 would have been a completely different game if they actually used one of these logos. On some very rare occasions, it's possible to see a glitched out train on the tracks of Los Santos. This train won't have any engine pulling it along, which makes it look very strange and almost ghost-like. If you dial the number 1999-367-3767 onto your phone, you'll get connected to a caller known as black cell phones. A few seconds after dialing this number, a small explosion will appear above your head, and your phone will have this solid black background. It's still unknown why this is in the game, or what it could mean. This metal container at the docks is completely weightless. The original concept for GTA Online was a lot different than what we have today. It was originally supposed to be built around 4 different gangs: the Vargos, the Police, Bikers, and the Families. All of these gangs would battle it out in an all-out turf war over the entirety of Los Santos. This is proven by these images found on the lead graphic designer of GTA 5's portfolio, which shows all of these different areas that could be controlled by the gangs. Personally, I would have loved to have seen how this idea would have played out. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed listening to those completely useless facts about GTA 5. If you know of any more useless facts, then please let us know in the comments. I'll make sure to pin the most useless one. Anyway, I'll see you later. Hey, in this video I want to take 10 minutes of your time to tell you a bunch of useless information about GTA, which you'll probably forget about as soon as you click off this video. Ready? Let's go. GTA 5 is the most profitable commercial entertainment product of all time. It's been sold over 140 million times, which has given Rockstar over $6 billion in sales alone. There has been a total of 38 content updates to GTA Online. You will need 47,551,850 RP to get to level 1000. You will also need a staggering 1,787,576,850 RP to get to level 8000. It's highly likely that this level will never be reached legitimately. There's a pipe behind this arcade that, if shot, will spurt out gas. This gas can make you fall over. It's possible to trap someone by continuously shooting the pipe. There was a removed heist from GTA 5 Story Mode that had Michael and Trevor rob La Fuente Blanca. There is loads of evidence of this in the game files. The heist was called the Shimuta Job and had 3 approaches: stealth approach, mime approach, and clown approach. All of these approaches had you go into a supposedly named nice house to take a safe, rob a horse, and kidnap a wife, which is presumably Martin Madrazo's wife, Patricia. There is loads of information which I can't go into now, as the video will be more than 10 minutes long. So if you want to know more, check out this video by Vadim M. There will be a link in the description. By parachuting under the map, you can access an unused comedy club. This was most likely supposed to be an activity that you could do in story mode. It's unknown why this was cut out of the game. There was an interview with Imran Sawar, who is the director of design at Rockstar Games. The interview took place in 2017. In this interview, Imran said that GTA Online in 2014 was close to failing. He mentions that this is because of the lack of interesting updates around this time, that the community and even Rockstar themselves weren't excited about. This changed when they started to get more ambitious with their updates. It seems like the one update that saved GTA from going under was the Heist update, which brought a massive amount of player base back to the game. That's just another reason why the Heist update is by far my favourite update. The casino and the Maze Bank Arena were supposed to be accessible in GTA Online from the very start. There's an unused line of dialogue from Lester that talks about the casino.
So listen, I just heard a casino opened up in town. Apparently it's pretty fun. Maybe you want to check it out.
There's also an unused interior and dialogue from Dom that talks about the Maze Bank Arena.
Hey, this sick indoor dirt track arena is opened in town. They're running time trials at the Kickstart Arena, so might be a chance for you to step it up.
There's a very slight mark on the Widowmaker texture in the weapon wheel. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. There are some unused lines of dialogue from the police responder that mentions some DLC vehicles, such as the RC Bandito and Go-Kart. This dialogue is from 2013, which is way before any of these DLC vehicles came out.
RC Bandito, Go-Kart, Squatty, Combine, Wayfarer, Hell Fury, Haikumai, Bobcat, Ferraki, pair of roller skates, skateboard, motorized skateboard.
At this location, there's a shack with a massive orange on top of it. This orange can be shot off and rolled around. There's a random floating square in the sky that says, "This does not exist." This was put in purely to mess with people. Here's something else you'll have trouble unseeing. These cranes at the docks look a bit like turtles when you're on the map, at least for me anyway. In this cemetery, you'll find a path that leads to a nice little seating area. This bench in the middle has writing on it that says, "In memory of Chris Edwards." Chris Edwards was a graphic designer at Rockstar, who unfortunately passed away in 2014. It's nice of them to have made this quiet little spot in memory of him. In the same cemetery, you can sometimes see a dog that walks around by itself. The dog would eventually come to a stop in front of this grave and will start whining. This is most likely a reference to Greyfriars Bobby, who was a Skye Terrier that visited and guarded his owner's grave every day for 14 years, before passing himself in the 14th of January 1872. During GTA 5's story, swear words are said over 2,400 times. The person who swears the most is Franklin, with a total of 655 times. The road at this location seems to confuse the NPC drivers. They often try to take this corner way too fast. For some reason, these dials on the long fin are flipped, so when the boat is stationary, the dials will show that it's going 120 miles per hour. As you go faster, the dials will show that you're slowing down. I've no clue how they managed to mess this up. At this location, there's a spray-painted image of a green smiley face in this tunnel. This face is an inside joke among many game companies. It can be found in many different games, such as Battlefield 3, The Sims 4, Overwatch, Borderlands 3, and many, many more. If you set your vehicle access to no one while in a Ruiner 2000, other players that try to get into your car will get shocked. There's quite a few guns and weapons which never made it into the final version of the game. The most interesting of which is the Assault Sniper, Heavy Rifle, Assault MG, and the Programmable AR, which looks to be a more advanced grenade launcher. Chop seems to hate talk shows on the radio. If you let him in your car and put a talk show on, he'll start barking. If you shoot above the back left wheel of any car, which is where the petrol tank is located, you can almost instantly blow it up. Also, shooting the petrol tank will make petrol slowly leak out of the car. After some time, the car will run out of petrol and will stop working. This only works in story mode. Lamar Davis was actually supposed to be a playable character in GTA 5 story mode. Evidence of this comes from Lamar's voice actor, who did a Reddit Ask Me Anything. He said that he caught a case and was tied up for a few months. Rockstar had to move on and, presumably, scrap the bigger plans they had for Lamar's character. The Summer Special update was originally going to be a Cops and Crooks update. However, due to the recent events at the time, a police-focused update would have been extremely distasteful, so they scrapped it and made it into the much smaller, less exciting Summer Special update we have today. There is still some evidence of this update in the game files, like the cubed arcade machine having a comment saying Cops and Crooks pack. There's also a grenade and a flash grenade. There are 3 different mission complete themes that were never used. These songs were supposed to play for each of the playable protagonists when they completed the mission. If you wear this grey-blue shirt as Michael, doing combat rolls will cause his shirt to fly upwards, and you'll be able to see through his torso. You can now practice your Cayo Perico hacking skills with the arcade hacking device. It's pretty cool that they added this in. Speaking of arcades, there were supposed to be 2 new arcade machines. One of them was a Manhunt themed arcade machine that looks pretty similar to the Badlands Revenge. The other game looks like it was going to be a 3D shooter. It has these 3D textures, which looks to be in the same style as Doom. When playing as Michael, if you combine these clothes, a shaved head, a long beard and glasses, it will look very similar to Max Payne from Rockstar's Max Payne 3. The tennis court at this location makes your character walk very weirdly. It also gives the effect of your character shrinking. The black awnings at this location are very slippery for some reason. This can lead to some pretty funny results. During GTA 5's development, Rockstar planned to have many more trees and vegetation around the map. You can see this in some early trailers and screenshots. However, due to hardware limitations, the amount of vegetation was drastically reduced. According to these build logs, the game was running at around 9 to 10 FPS. so it's quite clear why this change was made. In the original GTA 5 trailer, you can see a lot of old assets that are ripped straight out of GTA 4, like this police car, these cops, this police helicopter, and this ambulance. During a casino heist, it's possible to see the old and deconstructed casino sign. This is a pretty cool nod to the old casino. During the Cayo Perico heist, there's a rare chance that it can be stormy weather. If this happens, the guard's visibility will be reduced. The Sparrow is the only flying vehicle that can bypass yacht defences. Whether this is intentional or not, it can be quite useful in some PvP scenarios. The teaser trailer for the Cayo Perico heist shows an older model of the Kosatka. The lights are at the front, instead of them being at the top, like we have now. This same Kosatka model can still be found in-game, during the Cayo Perico heist. Most DLC vehicles in GTA Online have a lot less damage and deformation, compared to vehicles that were a part of the base game. For example, if we compare a Sentinel to the Komoda by smashing them into a wall a few times, you can see that the Sentinel crumbles a lot more than the Komoda. There was a cut radio station called Pre-Millennium Radio, or PMR for short. This was likely a 90s alternative rock / metal station. This station was likely replaced by VBR, as it also contains 90s rock. In Vespucci Beach, there used to be this large metal art piece. This was removed and replaced by this rusty art piece 3 months after the game's release. This is because the original artist, Mark D. Severo, who created this piece on Venice Beach, didn't want his artwork portrayed in-game, and asked Rockstar to remove it. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed listening to those utterly useless facts about GTA. If you know of any more useless facts, please let me know in the comments. I'll pin the most useless one. Anyway, I'll see you later.
I think it's pretty clear at this point that you guys just love to waste your time. So in this video, I'm going to steal 30 minutes of your life to tell you a bunch of useless information about GTA 5, which you are legally obligated to forget about as soon as you click off this video. Ready? Let's go. Let's start this off with a fact that will ruin your day. There are 2 very small texture errors on the weapon wheel. There's one on the top left, just above the throwables, and there's one just to the right of the assault rifles. They are both extremely hard to see, but once you've seen it, you likely won't be able to unsee it. If you fly the Deluxo or the Oppressor Mark II for around an hour, the hovering sound they make will begin to slowly glitch out. The Deluxo tends to gain this weird static sound as time goes on, while the Oppressor tends to fluctuate between being really high pitched to very low pitched. It can be difficult to hear, so listen closely. Whilst researching for this video, I stumbled across this very strange Easter egg. There's a hairstyle which you can buy called Hipster Youth. This has a uncanny resemblance to the term Hitler Youth. This Easter egg is made even more compelling by the fact that this type of hairstyle seemed to be fairly popular among German youngsters around the time of the Nazi regime. I don't know whether the resemblance was actually intentional or not, but even for a GTA game, this just kind of feels a bit out of place. Over 3 weeks before the Cayo Perico heist came out, Rockstar released a strange and rather cryptic teaser called Surveil.exe. As to be expected, it contains many massive hints as to what the update was about. One thing that stood out was these coordinates at the bottom. If you type in these coordinates into Google Maps, you get sent to this road in the US state of West Virginia. Although it looks unremarkable at first, many players have speculated that this road looks very familiar to the Roman numeral 6, or VI, which could literally be a reference to GTA 6. After looking at it myself, I must say that it is quite a bizarre coincidence. Unfortunately, Rockstar has neither confirmed or denied this Easter egg, so for now, it remains a mystery. If you enter the sewers with a helicopter, all of the water on the floor will seemingly turn into milk. Now if this isn't useless, I don't know what is. In GTA Online, there's an option to take the easy way out. Doing this will cause your character to shoot themselves in the head. I'm sure the majority of you know this, but one thing you probably didn't know is that the bullet actually passes through your head. If you were to position yourself in just the right angle with another player, you could take out 2 birds with 1 stone. It would be incredibly impressive if someone could actually pull this off in a fight. Have you ever heard of the Karen Snipe? If you've been on the GTA forums or just generally a part of the GTA community for a while, you would have probably heard some people talking about a supposed vehicle called the Karen Snipe. Many players would claim to own this vehicle and they would brag about how good it is. Despite this, however, there's no evidence whatsoever of this vehicle anywhere in the game files. So what is it, and why do people keep on saying that it exists? Well, I hate to ruin the fun, but the Snipe is actually just a practical joke. The term, snipe hunting, is a fool's errand which seems to be mainly played in American summer camps or in Boy Scouts. The joke starts by telling a newcomer about a rare creature called the snipe, and telling the newcomer to sit still somewhere in the woods to attract it. The people playing the joke will then convince them to stay still for as long as they can, and will tell them to make noises to attract this supposedly rare creature. The jokesters will then leave the victim by themselves, until they eventually realise that it was all just a joke. Despite this, however, I have a few Karen Snipes in my garage. It is by far the best vehicle in the game, and I would highly recommend that you buy one for yourself. At this location in Vinewood Hills, you can find the numbers 1807 spray painted on this wall. You've likely driven past this many times and just never paid any mind to it. However, some theorists believe that these numbers hold a lot more meaning than what meets the eye. Next to these numbers is a small red arrow, which if followed seems to lead us to this house here. Some people believe that both this house and these numbers are a reference to the horrific murders carried out by the Mason family, which was a small cult located in Los Angeles around the time of 1969. The cult had an average of 18 members at any given time, and they were held accountable for 7 confirmed murders. That's where the 1807 comes in. Another bit of supposed proof is that a strange party always takes place at this house at night. If you was to bump into any of these NPCs, they would immediately die. All of them are completely incapable of moving or retaliating. This is said to be a reference to the murders themselves. However, this is not the case. It's just a well-known glitch with the NPCs, one that can be seen all over the map, including other houses. I'm also not fully convinced on the whole 1807 thing either. I think it's more likely that this is the house number for this mansion. Many other mansions near this area have similar house numbers, and it's not too much of a stretch to assume that the house owners would paint their house number onto this wall to let people know where to find them. All in all, this is an interesting theory, one that I did believe at first, but I think there's just not enough evidence to support it. If you disagree, or have some more proof that supports this theory, then by all means let me know in the comments. At this hippie camp, you can find this string of numbers and letters, 6EQUJ5. This is a direct reference to the WOW signal, which was a unexplainably strong radio frequency that was picked up by Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope in August 1977. A signal of this kind has never been seen before, and no one truly knows what caused it. Due to the unknown nature of this signal, the most popular theory for this is that it was of extraterrestrial origin. If you choose the Power and Money art design when setting up your agency, you can find this painting of 4 characters fighting. These characters have some striking resemblances to some very popular YouTubers, namely Vanos Gaming, Louis Caliber, H2O Delirious, and Ohmwrecker. These YouTubers were at one point very influential in the world of GTA 5. I mean, just look at these views. I think that this is a very nice gesture from Rockstar to honour the community like this. In the game files, you can find some cut execution animations. Although we do have melee executions in game, these particular executions involve shooting someone at point blank range with a firearm, such as a pistol, shotgun, or assault rifle. These all look really cool. It's such a shame they got scrapped. At this location, you can find this little shack in the desert. Although at first it looks like a unassuming utility building, the one thing that stands out about this is that there are armed and aggressive men in black guarding it. This building could potentially be connected to the Humane Labs, which further increases the mystery behind this thing. Why they're guarding this place so heavily, or what could be inside, is really anyone's guess. For whatever reason, the stats for the stun gun are an absolute mess. As you can see here, the picture they used for it is completely wrong. They seem to have used the EP pistol model instead of the actual stun gun model. It also suggests that the stun gun has attachments, which it clearly doesn't. The most interesting error they made is its apparent clip size of 2,104,529,083. I think it's quite clear that this was rushed. There are 3 animations you can do whilst in cover that not many people tend to know about. As far as I know, these animations are never showed off or explained in-game at all. The first one we'll be taking a look at is the animation for running out of cover. This is performed by moving forward and then pressing the sprint button. For what input you need to do exactly, please refer to these diagrams. The second one will make you shimmy around corners. To perform this, poke your head out like this and then press the jump button. It's pretty simple, but could be helpful in some very specific situations. This last one will allow you to very quickly swap between 2 different points of cover. Find 2 walls which are roughly a door's width apart and take cover on it. You will then need to poke your head out and then press the cover button. Although this already looks cool enough on its own, if you were to equip a gun and shoot during the animation, it would make you look badass. This works with pretty much any weapon too, including RPGs, although I don't really recommend it. Admittedly, these movements aren't really effective in combat nowadays, but they are still perfect for making some unique looking cinematics. There is a unexplained phenomenon that happens at this location at night. This green glow, as people have come to call it, doesn't seem to be caused by anything in particular. It's just sort of there. As to be expected, many people believe that this is connected to aliens. Strangely, this phenomenon does not occur on current gen versions of the game, only on last gen, which could mean that it was just some strange texture glitch and wasn't actually intentional. On one of the many rock faces of Mount Chiliad, you can find this completely random face. No one really knows whose face this is. Some players say that it's the face of Jesse from Breaking Bad, whilst others say that it's one of the developers from Rockstar leaving their mark. Whatever the case may be, this face would be removed when the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game came out. It was replaced by, for lack of a better words, a picture of a cock. In story mode, there are 5 side missions which introduce you to the character Dom, an adrenaline junkie who convinces Franklin to do multiple crazy and death-defying stunts with him. On his final mission, he goes way too far and falls to his death after jumping off a dam without a parachute. These missions are in typical GTA style, with witty dialogue and fun gameplay, nothing out of the ordinary, except for one aspect, the dog. In the first and last mission, there is a random dog that communicates with Franklin.
Hey, what's up, my nigga? Good to see you, dog.
In both missions, the dog will lead Franklin to Dom, which is actually how they first met. When Franklin asks Dom about the dog, he says he has no clue what he's talking about.
Man, that's a cool-ass dog you got, homie.
What dog?
That dog that saved your ass, man.
Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
The same thing also happens in the final mission.
Hey, man, I ain't too sure about this one. Man, that motherfucking dog was the real deal.
What dog?
I don't know how to explain it, man.
The community has given this dog the name of Ghost Dog because of its ability to seemingly disappear and reappear whenever it sees fit. Many people believe that this is the same dog that is seen in the Play God minigame on the Accept the Chaos website. In one of these pictures, it shows a similar looking dog with its family, and in the other shows a really graphic car accident in which the whole family is dead, including the dog. Could this dog be the same dog that died in that tragic accident, and has it now come back as a ghost? To be honest, I really don't know. There are still loads of questions left unanswered, such as why is the dog helping Dom? Why does it communicate with Franklin? And why does Franklin seem so unfazed by it? I guess this is just one of the many unsolved mysteries surrounding GTA 5. If you was to blow up any one of these 5 vehicles 9 times, you will start to see parts of that respective vehicle scattered around your facility. There's evidence in the game files that Michael DeSanto's name was originally going to be Michael DeSanto. This can be heard in this unused police scanner dialogue.
Attention all units. Suspect is reported as Michael DeSanto.
It's likely that this was changed to avoid any confusion that people might have between Los Santos and DeSanto. Next up, I'm going to answer the question that nobody asked. How many properties are up for sale in the entire state of San Andreas? Answering this question was kind of easy. We just needed to add up all the houses, apartments, garages, offices, special cargo warehouses, vehicle warehouses, clubhouses, weed farms, cocaine lockups, meth labs, document forgery factory, money printing factory, nightclubs, arcades, hangars, auto shops, bunkers, facilities, agencies, arena workshop and casino penthouse. This gives us a total of 197 purchasable properties. When I first worked this all out, I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's like 25% of the buildings in the game or something. I wonder how many buildings there are in the game. To find the answer to this one-off question, I shit you not, I counted every single building in the game, making sure to double check every one of them. This right here is the perfect reason as to why these videos take so damn long to make. I get sidetracked by the smallest and stupidest things. So anyway, after disregarding my own mental health for a good few hours, I came to the conclusion that there are around 2,359 total buildings in the game. To be perfectly honest, there's a high chance that this could be inaccurate, as I did miscount a couple of times, and it can be quite difficult to define what a building actually is, so apologies if it's not 100% correct. After using these two
yeah. At least for my understanding, building is everything that has at least 3 walls, a door, a window and a roof. Okay, it doesn't need to have a window part. So 4 walls, a door and a roof. And I need to give myself night vision potion because I don't see anything. And now now I just started 10 times and yep, so I can just finish sealing and then I will continue the video. Don't worry, lost it all.
Numbers and doing a bit of math magic, I came to the conclusion that 8.35% of the buildings in the game are available for purchase. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been working on this one bit of info for way too long now. Let's get on with the next one. If you was to blow up an air conditioning unit that has a ladder on it, you'll still be able to use the ladder, despite it being completely destroyed. The most expensive vehicle in the game is the Luxor Deluxe, which is a golden jet that costs a staggering $10 million. If you wanted to buy this thing with real money, the absolute minimum you would have to do is purchase these 5 different shark guards for a total of $10,050,000 GTA dollars. This would cost you £88.45p, or for the American viewers, $137.95. All of this money for a useless and slightly retextured jet. What an absolute deal. You can get a very small amount of RP if you plug your mic in and sing in the shower. The same also works for screaming on roller coasters. One thing you should keep in mind while doing this, however, is that the whole lobby will be able to hear you. Things that break off of vehicles, such as doors, rudders, etc., will a lot of the time have zero mass, meaning that they are stupidly easy to move. Objects with zero mass tend to produce some really strange effects, such as this massless generator getting stuck in walls, massless fences that launch you in the air, and literally being able to surf using 2 massless objects. If you've ever been on the train before, you would have probably noticed that your character does this really weird leap when jumping to one container to another, almost like you're getting snapped onto it. This is obviously put in place to help you make the jump. However, because of this, it lets our characters jump an absurdly long distance. Using the male's canon height of 6 foot, I was able to calculate exactly how far this jump is, 23.15 feet, or 7 meters. To give you an idea just how far this is, it's nearly triple the normal distance you can jump, at nearly double the world record for a standing long jump. And this guy's jumping with just one leg. Our characters have some seriously impressive athletic abilities. At what level do you unlock everything? This seems like a pretty simple question to answer. A lot of you would say 120, as that's the rank where you unlock the final weapon, the minigun. However, this is a largely debated topic. Many people claim that you unlock a slight health regeneration increase on the levels 140, 160, 180, and finally 200, where the regen caps out at 1.2 times. This information comes from the GTA Wiki, which is a trusted source for GTA info. Another source for this comes from TezFun on the GTA forums, who is a well-known data miner / leaker who has provided the community with a lot of valuable information over the years, such as the info for the Scrapped Story Mode DLCs. If you've watched my last useless information video, you'll know what I mean. So basically, this guy knows what he's talking about. Despite this, however, many people still claim that this just isn't true, as there is no proof of this regen in effect. I searched high and low for proof of the regen, but I found absolutely nothing. Because of this, I decided to pull a Thanos and do it myself. I made a fresh account and spent exactly 17 hours grinding it to level 120. I met up with my 2 friends, who are way above level 200, and we shot each other with unmodified heavy snipers, both in and out of cover, to test exactly how long it takes for both of us to recover health, from the exact frame we got shot to the exact frame we stopped regaining health. And as it turns out, there is literally no difference at all. We tried it again while standing up, but once again, no difference. One thing I neglected to mention about Fun's post here is that he said that the regen also affects the speed in which you gain health within the CEO radius. You know that little circle thingy around CEOs? Yeah, that thing. If you're an associate and are within that circle, you get a health regen boost, which apparently is boosted even more depending on your rank. We tested it again, this time within the CEO circle, but once again, the regen speed was the exact same for both me and my friend. These really weren't the results I was expecting, but as they say, the numbers don't lie. I'm not saying these sources are wrong, there likely is some kind of stat like this in the game, but it's clear, at least on the expanded and enhanced edition anyway, that there is no health regen past 120. The only thing you do unlock past 120 is the ability to hold 10 body armor at 135, a silver background at 500, and a golden background at 750. So to answer the question from the beginning, at what level do you unlock everything? Technically, it would be 750, but in terms of actual perks, it will be 135. The only real perk you get past 135 is the ability to flex. The lamp in its lighthouse will only rotate if you directly look at it. As soon as you look away, it will stop moving completely. If you look into the back of an RPG, you can quite clearly see that it's completely hollow. Around May of 2020, Rockstar accidentally made bunker sales triple money, which for the small time that was available, let a few very lucky players earn a maximum of $3.1 million in a single sale. This amount was so high that there are some reports of players just not getting the money, as the game likely deemed it to be illegitimate. In the ECU contract, you have to rob a couple of ECUs from a heavily armoured train. To find them, you need to break open multiple containers, which are usually filled with weapons, crates, etc. However, on some rare occasions, you can find a container that is completely devoid of any serial numbers. Opening this container reveals an alien egg, which seems to be hooked up to some weird machine. You can also find a similar looking container which houses a spaceship part. Did you know that a significant amount of the interiors in the game are actually stored under the map? This means that if you know where they are, and are able to get out of bounds near one of them, you'll be able to parachute directly onto it. Here's a map I put together of every single interior which can be found out of bounds. The ones with a green outline are accessible in free mode by default, whilst the ones with a red outline cannot be accessed unless you're in a certain mission or event. Keep in mind that every one of these interiors are different and will react differently if you land on them. For example, some don't like you being there at all and will kick you out instantly. Others will let you stay, and some will just straight softlock you. At these exact coordinates you can find this white cube that has the phrase "this does not exist" written on all of its faces. This cube is way too deep in the ocean to reach by normal means, so the only way to see it is by using this program called Codewalker, or by using a mod that removes all map limitations. I would like to think that this was intentionally put here, just to confuse the very few modders that would actually find it. The single rarest achievement in GTA 5 is the Masterminds achievement. To get this thing, you have to complete the entire Doomsday heist on the hardest difficulty without losing a single life. Not only that, you also need to do it 3 times over, with 2, 3 and 4 players. Less than 0.01% of players on Xbox have this achievement. According to the website True Achievements, only 800 of the 750,000 True Achievements members have unlocked this achievement, making it the 336 rarest achievement on Xbox. When you spin the lucky wheel, there's a 3% chance that you'll get this festive gingerbread mask. The festive items are usually only available during Christmas. However, unlocking this mask through the lucky wheel will allow you to wear it all year round. When the Diamond Casino update came out, there was originally going to be billboards around the city that would promote its grand opening. This is made apparent by the game file, LS DLC VW billboard. It would have likely looked something like this. There's a glitch with the expanded and enhanced versions of the game, where water rapids no longer make you fall over or affect you in any way. This is me comparing the PC version with the expanded and enhanced version, and as you can see, on the PC version I fall over instantly and get tossed around by the currents. But on this version, these intense rapids have zero effect. I can even swim all the way, which just looks kind of ridiculous. There are some very small mistakes in the official GTA 5 digital manual that I thought would be fun to point out. First of all, this picture they used for the Raton Canyon is wrong. They incorrectly used a picture of Lago Zancudo. The same also goes for Mount Josiah. At the top, it says take a hike in Mount Josiah, when this is quite clearly Mount Gilead. The last one I could find is this picture for the location Harmony, which clearly shows this beer keg, which is actually located in Great Sharapel. In the game files, there's a GTA Online heist that is surprisingly fully voiced by Lester. From listening to this dialogue, we can paint a rough picture of how this heist would have panned out. The objective of the heist was to rob 5 fleet trucks around the city within minutes. After robbing the final bank, likely this specific one here, the police would seize your car, which would force you to escape on foot, and fight your way to Legion Square and into this parking lot that contains a getaway vehicle. You would have then had to make your escape by driving into the LS River, where you would have needed to ditch the car and hop on some jet skis. You and your crew would then make your way out of the river, and then finally set up to lose the heat out in the ocean. It's likely that this is what the Fleecer heist was originally going to be, and to be honest, it sounds way better than what we got today. Every year, there's a games developer conference that takes place in San Francisco. In this conference, multiple game developers come together and talk about their projects, share ideas, and provide inspiration of developers. On the 18th of March 2019, there was a GDC talk done by Miriam Bellard, who is the art director for Visual Rockstar Games. In this hour-long talk, she shows off some very interesting concept art and general beta stuff from some of the GTA Online updates. It really is an interesting video. If you have the time, I'd recommend giving it a watch. The link will be down below. In the Contract DLC, there are some voice lines from your assistant and Franklin, which references some well-known characters and celebrities throughout the GTA franchise. Listen for yourself.
Saw Mr. Clinton up in his office talking with Mad Dog earlier. I gotta say, Mr. Clinton looked kind of starstruck. So yesterday I get this call, squeakiest fucking gangster you ever heard, asking for Mr. Clinton. I was like, Jeffrey? Turns out he still gets pissed when you call him that. I remember working the door for him back in the 90s. Now look where he's at. I hope he swings by sometime. Hey, if you see Mr. Clinton, let him know Mrs. Clinton swung by earlier. And she looked, well, you know, maybe he want to pick up some flowers or something.
Hey, do you know some crazy-ass Russian dude? Some guy got passed through my office talking about some caviars and submarines and shit. Said he knew you. Something about wanting to take another trip to the Caribbean. Hey, does the name Trevor Phillips mean anything to you? I just heard you did some work with him a while back. Man, shit leaves some scars, don't it? Hey, you didn't tell me you knew Lester. I was speaking to him yesterday and your name came up. Man,